So you've decided you want to go ferreting. Well, one of the first things you're going to need is one of these. This is Arthur, or more accurately, son of Arthur. I got him out because he's more sort of relaxed than the gills, especially at this time of year, because the gills are in heat and it can make them a little bit bitey. These guys, I mean, he's quite energetic, shall we say, but he's quite a nice ferret, really, aren't you? Eh? Not very bitey at all. He's quite timid and, you know, he's quite sort of friendly, really. But either way, once you've got your ferret, you need somewhere for him to live. So if you look, you know, you should see on your screens about now the sort of hutch setup that we've got. And we've actually got 3 hutches. We've got a little like doors in between each one. So most of the year, the ferrets can just move about and play and go wherever they like. But then during this time of year, when the gills are in heat, we can put the doors down and we can separate the hobs from the gills. Because otherwise, you know, you'll find one of these guys locked to one of the gills for like 2 or 3 days, because that's how long they mate for, and they're quite aggressive doing it. It's quite a shocking thing to see, to be fair. But they lock together. And you know, obviously, if you do that, very soon you'll have some, you know, some kits which you don't really necessarily want. So that's why we do that. Once you've got that, you need something to keep them in, to take them out into the field. So you just need like a wooden box of some sort with obviously a lid on it that you can put them in, keep them quiet, and take them out. It can sometimes be tricky because you've got to kind of push the ferret into the runner like head first. Because otherwise they just come out again, which can be a bit of a pain. And when they're really stressed out, if there's like you've just been hunting with them, they get the ferrets will get kind of excited because they can smell, you know, death basically around. And you'll see their tail. You can see his tail's nice and smooth at the moment, but if he gets stressed, it'll stick out like a brush, like this, like a cat's tail does really. And when they're like that, you know, it can be quite tricky to handle them because they can be quite bitey, especially when your hands smell of rabbits because you've been obviously killing rabbits. So once you've got all of that, you need some purse nets. And purse nets are quite simple. If you look on the screen about now, the ones you can see there, my dad bought in about 1960, something like that. He paid a gypsy to make them, and they're made out of hemp. Now hemp is probably the best material you could make a net out of, because it's very, very resilient. It doesn't wear out. As long as you dry it, that's the only thing. You make sure that you hang it up to dry. But it grips the rabbit really well, tightens up really well, but at the same time, it doesn't kind of release, because you find a lot of these nylon nets will do that. They'll grab the rabbit, but then they release it again. So hemp is really the way to go. So once you've got those, you could maybe have a long net. Again, you know, you may have seen before, my brother has got a long net, which is like a big long net about this high off the ground, that you could put around the perimeter of a bury, as they're known, where all of the holes are. And then with that technique, it can be very good, because normally, of course, you just put your purse nets over every single hole. If you've got an area that's difficult to get to some of the holes, or it's just a very large area, you just put the long net all the way around, put the ferret down the hole, and then he'll like use his nose, because when he comes up, he'll smell where the rabbits are, and then he can decide which hole to go into next. And then when the rabbit bolts, it'll get caught in the long net, you know, and you just snap its neck. So it's a very, very good technique to use, because obviously in the winter months, which is when you should do it, you should never really ferret rabbits unless there's an R in the month, because, you know, if there's an R in the month, they won't be breeding. And because they're not breeding, the coats will be much better quality. If you want the skins, the flesh should be better quality as well, because when they're mating, the does especially get quite emaciated. So yeah, that's the time to really do it. And also, ferreting is very, very efficient, and it would almost be too efficient. You know, if you start doing it in the summer, I know if you're a pest controller and you want to just wipe out the local rabbit population, then you can do it in the summer. But if you want to have a sustainable supply of rabbits, it's best to do it during the winter, because that's, you know, that's when, you know, you can afford to do that really, before they start breeding again. But you know, you could kill like 9 or 10 rabbits in an hour potentially using that method. And of course, because in the winter months it's dark very early, it's the only way you'd actually be able to get hold of a rabbit really, unless you go out with a lamp with a rifle. So it's a very good, efficient technique. You've been quite relaxed now, haven't you? So yeah, I mean, that's about it really, to be honest. Ferrets are great for that, because they reward you with rabbits during the winter. And during the summer and other times when you're having to shoot corvids or feral pigeons or any other sort of pests that you would want to eat, these guys will eat them for you. So they're a great way of recycling meat to make sure that nothing goes to waste. And you know, they're quite cool, they're quite friendly. If you know, these guys have got a lot of polecat in them. As I said, this guy is probably the most friendly of the lot, which is why he's the one I'm handling. But if you let them in the house and you handle them like all the time, they can become actually really affectionate, and kind of they'll nuzzle you and play with you, and you can keep them just like house pets if you want to. So if you're into shooting, get yourself one of these. So yeah, I don't know whether there's anything else to say. I suppose what I should mention is take a shovel with you, because if the ferret gets stuck, which can sometimes happen, you can dig them out. I mean, you don't have to be too paranoid about it. Nobody likes to lose a ferret, but it isn't uncommon. In fact, one of the Jills that we've got, my dad actually found her. He was just walking down the road, and she was just at the side of the road, covered in ticks. But she'd obviously been living feral for quite some time and doing quite well about it, apart from the ticks. Because a ferret is a very, very, very good hunter. So if you ever did lose one, it's not going to, it's not like losing a dog where it'll end up sort of dead in a ditch somewhere. These guys would live out their lives perfectly happily, hunting rabbits and doing very well indeed, to be honest. But at the same time, if you can, you might want to dig them out. So I suppose that's all there is to say, really. If you want any more information, by all means, ask me in the comments. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. Like and subscribe.